All right, here we go, 12:4. So we're doing more conversions, and what's nice is that it still works the same way. So if you were going from larger units to smaller, you multiply. If you're going from smaller units to larger, you divide. Works the same way. No difference. Now, this is something you're going to refer to back, this chart here, quite a bit in this lesson and in subsequent lessons. You'll refer back to this. Now, this is how this works. Just so you know, 1 meter is really close to a yard. It's about from the doorknob down to the floor. And a kilometer, well, I can't remember how a mile and a kilometer compare. Michelle, do you remember how a mile and a kilometer? I can't. I think the mile's a little bit bigger. I don't remember for sure. But the kilometer's longer?
Yeah, a kilometer is a little bit longer than a mile.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I stand corrected. I can't remember. Haven't thought about it for a while. But look at this here for a second. Pay attention to this. There are 100 hectometers in 1 kilometer. There's 100 decameters in 1 hectometer. How many meters do you think are in a decameter? 100. How many decimeters do you think are in 1 meter? 100. How many centimeters are in a decimeter? Yeah, there you go. You see the pattern here. 100 each time. Each time. So it says here, it says 10 to the 3 m, and the m represents meters. Now look at this right here, what's highlighted in yellow. It shows you the abbreviations for each one. Kilometer is km, meter is m, centimeter is cm, millimeter is mm, not as in M&Ms. Those 4 are the most common ones you're going to use. So let's move down a little bit here. It says the distance between 2 towns is 3 kilometers. How many meters are they apart? Well, how many meters are in 1 kilometer? It's 1,000. So they are 3,000 meters apart. Then it says the distance between a kitchen and a living room is 1,200 centimeters. And 1,200 centimeters equals how many meters? Well, we're dividing. Here's centimeters right here, and we're going 2 places to meters. And when we're going from smaller to larger, we divide. So, Mr. Kamisa, it's 1,200 divided by what? 100. And so that would be 12 meters. It's a good example. That convinced me, it says, Elena says that that 25 centimeters is equal to 250 millimeters. Do you agree? Why or why not? Well, let's look at the chart for a moment here, and I made a copy of it and moved it down. I've got it right here. So we're talking about 25 centimeters. Okay, here's the centimeters. And she says it's equal to 250 millimeters. So we're going from, well, the way they phrase it, it could be kind of confusing, but we're going from 25 centimeters to millimeters. So we're going from larger to smaller. Do you think she's right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, because it is, well, instead of saying it, let me change that. Because 25 centimeters, well, yeah, I'm still not gonna, that won't explain it. Because the difference is times 10 between centimeters and millimeters. Let's look at number 1 here, under do you understand? It says to find the number of meters in 6 kilometers, why do you multiply? Because there's 1,000 meters. There's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, so 6 times 1,000. I went ahead and wrote that down for you, because there's 1,000 meters, 1,000 m, in 1 kilometer. So 6 times 1,000. 10 to the 3, right here, that's the same as 1,000. You guys should remember that. What's 10 to the 4th equal? Who remembers? Yeah. 10,000. How many zeros are there? 4, and the exponent is 4. What's 10 to the 6th equal? 1 million. How many zeros are there? What's 10 squared equal? How many zeros are there? 2. All right, number 2, it says convert 12.5 centimeters to millimeters. This one you had to think about for a minute. It says convert 12.5 centimeters to millimeters. So you might think, I won't say that, it'd be confusing. So you're going from larger to smaller, centimeters to millimeters. And so larger to smaller, you can see what I've got written right here, you multiply. You guys should know that by now. And smaller to larger, you divide. So 12.5 centimeters, you can see what I wrote here. It would be times 10, so 12.5 times 10, you just change it to 125. Just as a quick refresher here, if I wrote 13.762 times 100, what would that equal? Mr. Hayes, I know you weren't here for this when I taught it. Do you have any idea what you would do with that? No? Okay. Mr. Lee De La Rosa, could you explain to him what you would do with that? 13.762 times 100. What's the answer? Don't even need to pick up a pencil. No? Don't remember? Okay, so it's a good refresher. Let's see here. Mr. Hollenbach. 13.762 times 100. What's that?
Move the decimal over 2 times.
Move the decimal over 2 times. Because two zeros. You move it two places. Which way am I moving it? I'm moving it to the left, that way? Okay. So think about this for a moment, Mr. Hollenbach. Point, if I move to two places, it's 0.13762. Let me ask you a question. Look at those two numbers. Everybody look at those two numbers. Quit fiddling with the chips. That's too loud. Quit fiddling with the chips. It's too loud. Thank you. Which number is larger, Mr. Hollenbach? Yeah, 13.762 is larger than 0.13762. Now, let me ask you a question. When you multiply something by a number that is larger than 1, is it getting bigger or smaller? It's getting bigger. So would it make sense to move the decimal to the left? Because we just made it a lot smaller. So which way do you think we'd move the decimal? We're going to move the decimal, that's right. We're going to move the decimal to the right, and we're going to move it to the right two places. So 1, 2. So the new number is 1376.2. So, for those of you that weren't here when I taught this, anytime you multiply a decimal by 100, or if you multiply it by 10, or you multiply it by 1,000, or let's say even 10,000, you just move that decimal that many places. How many zeros there are, right, Mr. Graham? So, Mr. Graham, if I wrote down 0.362 times 1,000, what would that equal?
362.
Yeah, I'd move the decimal three places, so it becomes 362. We moved it three places. Make sense? How many remember that now that have forgotten it? So a lot of you had forgotten that. Okay, maybe it's a good thing we went over that. All right? So, and the opposite is also true. If we're dividing by 1,000, we'd move it 10 places the other direction. All right? Okay, let's look at number 3. And again, I moved this chart down here so you guys could look right at it. Or of course, you could just see it right in your book. Number 3, it says 10 to the third. What's that equal? Yes? 1,000. You guys should know what these are. 10 squared is 100. Of course, 10 to the first is just 10. 10 to the fifth, that's going to be 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 100,000. And 10 to the fourth is 10,000. Just remember, you add those zeros. Anyways, so 10 to the third centimeters equals how many meters? We're going from centimeters to meters. Are we going from smaller to larger? We're going from centimeters to meters. Which is larger, a centimeter or a meter? A meter is larger. So we're going from smaller to larger, right? So here's the centimeter, and it says 1,000 centimeters. 10 to the third, right? 10 to the third equals 1,000. So 1,000 centimeters equals how many meters? Well, if there's 100 centimeters in a decameter, there's 1,000 in a meter, 10,000 in this, 100,000 in this, and 1,000,000 in that. Each time I just multiplied it by 100. So the answer would be 1 meter. Questions on that, anybody? Or not 1, 10. 10 meters. Questions on that? All right, how about number 6? 3 kilometers. Here's a kilometer. 3 kilometers is how many meters? Well, first off, how many meters are in 1 kilometer, Mr. Fall? How many meters are in 1 kilometer? 1,000. Okay. So 3 kilometers would be 3,000 meters. Let's look at 7 and 8. It says 9,000 meters is greater than, less than, or equal to 20 kilometers. Well, we know it's not equal to because they're two different numbers. So 9,000 meters, well, how many meters are in a kilometer? We just talked about that. How many? No, there's 1,000. 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. Did you say 1,000? I thought you said 10. All right. So that would be what? 9 kilometers. Is that greater than, less than, or equal to 20? Less than. All right, I think if you guys keep referencing that chart, you should be good for the rest of these. Let's look at the problem solving really quick. Number 23, let x be the length of an object in meters, and y the length of the same object in millimeters. Which has a smaller number, x or y? Well, if we said the object was 2 meters, let's just think of an object that's 2 meters long. Let's say a man is 2 meters tall. How many millimeters would that be? So which number is larger, the 2 or what goes here? Think of it that way. Number 24, how many millimeters are equal to 1 kilometer? Well, you're going to have to refer back to that chart and start multiplying by 100 each time. Or no, not 100, a 10. You know what? I might have said 100 each time once before. The difference in each one of these is 10. 10 times. I don't want to confuse you guys. If you're going to the left, whoops, 10 times each. So there's 10 of these, 10 hectometers in 1 kilometer. All right, a difference of 10 each time. All right, let me see here. Yeah, you should be able to do 24. So 25 is pretty easy. An easy way to figure out which fraction is larger, and you might see one like this. You just divide. 7 eighths is the same as 7 divided by 8. And 9 over 12 is the same as 9 divided by 12. And then you just look and see which number is larger, because they'll give it to you in decimal form. Number 26, you can do that one. 27. Find the difference. So it looks like you're going to be subtracting. Okay. They're giving you it in kilometers. So there's a difference between the two, and then it says to convert it to meters. All right, so there's two answers for that. 28 and 29, multiple choice, you guys can do those. Any questions on this, you guys? Ms. Noble, no? No? All right, I'm gonna stop here.
Good night.